be it resolved.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Be It Resolved, where we choose highly interesting topics, sometimes serious, sometimes a little bit more on the fun side. But nonetheless, whatever the topic is, our debaters are going to debate this with zeal, passion. Now, today, regardless of that, you're going to be informed. And today we're going to be discussing a very important topic. And the resolution is, be it resolved that we don't really understand human nutrition. I am your moderator for today, and we have a team of debaters that are going to be debating. And let me just go through them. For the pro side, our first person on the pro side is Andrew Oates. Please wave. There you go. And our first con on the con side is Al Brown. And our second on the pro side is Sarab Sandhu, and followed by Andrew Wood. Great. Now, before we begin, I'm going to give you some feedback on how the debate format is going to work. Each debater is going to be given 3 minutes to present a constructive argument, in which I will join later on in a 10-minute debate in the middle once they are done. The debate is going to be concluded by each of the debaters giving a 1-minute concluding statement at the very end. Now, just a quick reminder for all of you and for our members. This is the arguments and the views that you're going to be hearing are exclusively for the debate. It does not necessarily represent the opinions of the speakers, and it's done in the purpose to win the debate. So they're going to go all out, and you're going to see some really, really powerful arguments. So once again, the resolution is, be it resolved that we don't really understand human nature. The first speaker...
Nutrition.
Forgive me.
Human nature, that's a bigger topic. We'll deal with that some other time.
Human nutrition is the thing. So be it resolved that we don't really understand human nutrition. So on the pro side, let's begin with Andrew Oates. Take it away, Mr. Oates. You've got 3 minutes.
Thanks very much, Mario. I'd like to start by talking a little bit about the history of our understanding of human nutrition and all the times that has changed over the years, and how there's really no reason to suppose that this time we know everything and we really understand it. So there's a lot of things that have changed over the years, and there are a lot of questions that are open at this moment. The scientific study of nutrition really only began with the USDA that was formed by Abraham Lincoln in 1862. Around the turn of the century following, the idea of calorie counts based on the Atwater numbers of 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, 4 per gram of protein, and 9 per gram of fat were invented by burning stuff to see how much energy came off of it. Vitamins weren't discovered until 1912. Before that, scientists thought that every aspect of nutrition could be explained by those proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Vitamin K wasn't discovered until 1929. Along comes World War I, and the U.S. government says, gee, these guys that want to be soldiers are all unhealthy. We need to figure out why. And they recommended starting in 1941 that everybody has some essential nutrients, vitamins A, B1, B2, B3, C, D, calcium, and iron. 1968, they added vitamin E, vitamin B6, B12, and magnesium. Today, they also recommend B5, B7, B9, K, choline, chromium, copper, iodine, manganese, and a bunch of other stuff. That's not even including the importance of fiber and other minerals and micronutrients and probiotics and prebiotics that have been discovered since then. The idea of the microbiome was poo-pooed as recently as 20 years ago. People thought, the germs that live in your gut don't have any effect on human nutrition. Now they know they have a huge effect on metabolism, on immunity, on even type 2 diabetes still being studied. But we know that there are questions to be answered about how all of that stuff works. As recently as 2012, it was discovered that the fat calories from nuts don't get absorbed by human digestion because of the fiber involved. And they actually changed the calorie counts for nut bars, reducing them from 200 to 170 in one case, without changing the recipe at all. So those are just some examples of how our understanding has changed and how there's no reason to suppose that we have all the answers today.
Thank you very much, Andrew Oates. Speaking first on the con side is Al Brown. Take it away, Al. You got 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mario. Well, throughout human history, there has been an inherent knowledge that of what is required for nutrition. There are huge bodies of information on herbs and spices that have been passed down for generations, for thousands of years, that demonstrate that humans have known about nutrition for probably as long as we've been around. The difference is right now science is only beginning to understand that. But the science is actually being subordinated to the interests of the corporations. And a lot of our corporations today are basically impeding the passage of that information down to individuals who can then use it. There is enough information now on nutrition available that if we had what we knew in the hands of every individual, we would be a much healthier society. And again, this is being impeded by governments and professional organizations and utilized by corporations. And I'll give you an example of this. In 2018, the Government of Canada, Health Canada, changed the food guide. In effect, deleting categories for dairy products and reducing the emphasis for meat. Well, guess what? The dairy sector and the cattlemen objected because they viewed the food guide as a means for selling their product, not for human health. More recently, I found an article in a magazine, a local health magazine called Vitality, in which talked about, and there was an opinion piece about how the Ontario College of Physicians and Surgeons was attempting to limit access to what is called complementary and alternative medicine, which is the use of things like instead of prescribing pills, you provide things like the doctors prescribe physical exercise to overcome things like high blood pressure and stuff like this, and nutrition. Now, the reason they're doing this seems to be it seems to be that they're doing this to guarantee the quality of the service they're getting from the doctors. But in effect, what they're doing, they're limiting choice. They're limiting our access to information so that we can't get that information and become healthy from it. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is there's so much information out there already. A lot of it is available on the internet if you're willing to look about health. And the real issue is that we're not going after it because we don't know it's there.
Right on the money. Thank you very much, Al Brown. And now our second, hold on a second, please. Our second member on the pro side is Sarab Sandhu. Sarab, take it away. You've got 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and my esteemed listeners and opponents. First, I must say that if we don't really understand human nutrition, is because in the civilized world, there are more disease because of blood pressure and cancers and other stuff because of the wrong nutrition. And this is exactly in front of you. You don't have to read any book to find it out. You can see the effects. In fact, more people die with more food than less food altogether. Now, I want to bring this back to the 5,000-year-old scriptures in the Vedas, where they talk about what food does to you. There are 3 types of food. We have the sattvic food, which is light and vegetables and nuts and all that. And then you have the Rajasic food, which is all the spicy food and the tasting good food. And the third one is the Tamasic food, which is absolutely heavy, nutrient dense food. At this moment, we consider Tamasic food is the starting point for all disease because it's difficult to digest nutrient dense foods. It takes more time, maybe 3 days for the meat to be expelled from your body system. And as my Andrew said, that the 30% reduction in nutrients anyway, you wasted all this time to digest the food, and in the end, you're throwing away 30% away. With the Rajasic food, you're eating the right amount of food and your body functions. What are you eating food for? It's just to function healthily as a human being. But when we have too much of food, that is the problem. That's why we don't understand, like people would say having a good steak is a good idea. If you have it every day, it is the worst kind of diet you can ever have. This hamburgers, McDonald's and all that, these are nutrient dense food, which should be avoided. And if we go to the healthier foods and eat less, we normally eat 2 to 3 times more than what we require for your proper body functions. And that is the start of the problem. That's why we don't understand nutrition. As we say, we don't really understand human nutrition. And so we are doing what's socially acceptable and what our ancestors did and what we continue doing and what the television tells you and what the magazines tell you, what is good and what is bad. But actually, you should ask your own stomach and your own body and how you can expel it easily. It should be digested easily and it should taste nice rather than finding the taste good and don't worry about the thing. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Well, thank you very much, Sarab. And ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to be hearing from the second on the con side, and that is Andrew Wood. So you got Andrew Wood, forgive me. Andrew, take it away for 3 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Modulator. And to my esteemed colleagues, well, we're debating, be it resolved that we don't really understand human nutrition. And frankly, I haven't heard any arguments from my opponents that have made me change my mind one bit. Al and I are arguing that we do understand human nutrition plenty well enough to be able to act on it and to make our proper nutrition choices. It is not necessary for Al and I to argue that we understand 100% of it. No, that's not our argument. We've made great strides, though, in science and in scientific understanding of it. And Andrew Oates is right. Yes, within the past 100 years, there have been mileposts and there have been things that we've come to understand. But the point is we have come to understand them. And the future is ahead of us. We understand plenty enough of what's happening for us to be able to control the food and make the right choices. Now, Sarab is making arguments that some food is heavier than others and it's harder for our bodies to digest. But yes, that's what doctors are telling us. They're telling us to go easy on the meats. They're recommending a more of a vegetarian diet. And so, of course, we agree with that. But the point is that not everybody might follow that advice, but we have the knowledge we need to make the right choices. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. In the past several years, starting 2018, so I guess almost 3 years ago now, I started going to a naturopath downtown Toronto. I was overweight at the time. I was not feeling good, and I needed some help. And this naturopath put me on the right route to gaining my health. He told me what I needed to eat. I understood what he was saying. It was mostly greens, salads and vegetables, very little fruit, a small helping of protein beside it, either a fish or chicken. And I lost 50 pounds at the time. And it took me 1.5 years, but by strictly following that nutrition advice, I was able to cure my body. I went off the high blood pressure. I went off of my asthma medicine, and I was in the pink of health. Now, since we've been locked down, that is no longer true. I'm no longer sticking to my diet. You know, I'm eating stuff that I know I shouldn't. So now I'm gaining weight again. So it's not that I don't have the information. I do. The point is that I need to act on it. And that's really the crux of our argument. We know what we need to do, so let's do it.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. And we have just heard the conclusion of the constructive arguments, and we're going to go into a 10-minute round robin now. And I'd like to begin the round robin by asking one question, and that is the affordability of eating properly. Because what we're seeing lately is that eating healthy is also dependent on expense. You go out and you try to buy food that is healthy for you, and all of a sudden it's much more expensive, whereas junk food is a lot more cheaper. Andrew Wood, can you please elaborate on that? How can people stay?
Well, look, yeah, okay, but Mario, I mean, you're fine, but you know what, Mario, I think that's somewhat of a different debate. We live in a capitalist society. We live in a corporate society, and the food corporations, many of them, make a lot of money on pushing foods that are not necessarily healthy for us. For instance, in the supermarket, you don't need to advertise carrots. I haven't seen any carrot ads and whatever. They don't advertise carrots. They advertise Lucky Charms. They advertise cookies and ice cream. And so the point is that we do know the choices we need to make. It doesn't mean we can't choose cookies and ice cream sometimes, but in the main, we know exactly what we do in order to maintain our bodies and nourish ourselves to the best way possible.
Mario, may I add to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've done some studies myself personally about the costs of food. And if you go out and buy beans of various types, black beans, red kidney beans, chickpeas, split peas, and stuff like this, and you make soups and dishes out of that, they are extremely inexpensive. I mean, I'm not talking by the canned versions. I'm talking about buying the say the dried beans and soaking them and cooking them. And vegetables are the least cost item that you can have on your grocery list. After that goes into meats and then processed foods. Junk foods are actually, like a bag of potato chips, are much more expensive than even reasonable quality meats. So this isn't an issue of price so much as it is, as Andrew says, advertising. Because those that are selling the high input foods, which are also, by the way, lower in nutrients value because they're processed, are trying to make money off us. And
So
they're
we know
actually
that- we know that
processing the
those are
food.
advertised because that entices people to eat more of them. And I think you're absolutely right. The cost is not an issue because if you eat the amounts of food that you should be eating, it's far less than most people eat to begin with. So the price is diminished by that. If you eat half as much of anything, it's going to cost half as much.
So Andrew, let me ask you, Andrew Oates, let me ask you, what side of the argument from your opponents do you feel it needs to be addressed from your perspective?
Well, Andrew Wood, for example, among others, he says that we know what to eat, but we don't do it. Why do we not do it? It's because we don't understand how our bodies react to hormones and to fats and sugars, and how doesn't matter how much willpower you have, you cannot control what you're eating if your body is screaming at you night and day, I need to eat whatever, ice cream, chocolate bars.
Well, no, that's a different issue, Mr. Oates. It's a different issue. Of course, we have our predilections.
No. The issue, the point is, we don't understand how those hormones and microbiome in the gut and so on react to this. You cited an experience, a year and a half, very good, but it's not a permanent change. And many people
But
have
the
done that.
point is, in practical terms, we do know plenty about human nutrition. We know how to feed ourselves properly. The fact that we don't always do that is another issue altogether.
Agreed.
know, for
We
example-
know plenty, but we don't really understand how it works.
We understand how it works. We don't understand how we work. Because in our psyches, of course, there's lots of conflicting motivations that we have.
Yes,
But,
sir.
it's not a matter of not having the
Yeah.
information. We've got the information.
I want to put my understanding of this process. I met a guy who was 108 years old, and he was actually having one meal a day. And he was absolutely in pink of health. Because in the end, after eating, the final result is how healthy are you? Are you living long, or you have longevity, or are you getting disease along the way? And this guy, he at 108, he didn't have any blood pressure, he didn't have any sugar, he had his own teeth, he could see with his eyes, and all he had was fruits and nuts, which are soaked overnight. And only for 6 times a day in a week, and 7th day he would fast. So what I'm saying is the effect in the end of understanding nutrition would be equated to longevity and less health problems, but which we are overlooking, that we're eating anything which comes along, even nutrient dense food, and getting the most.
So Rob, the core of the argument is the understanding of nutrition. And we do understand what you're saying. It's generally agreed. It is agreed. The fact is, we do not always eat that way, of course. And but that's a separate issue. We have the information we need to make great, healthy choices. And so that's why I'm pretty confident about the result of this debate.
But if you understood it, it will not affect the health. It is in the end, the longevity and the health problem. How healthy are you after eating that? If it is equating to bad health, that means you don't really understand human nutrition. I mean, you know what it is and you don't put it into practice. That's the 2 different things. You know about it, but you're not doing it.
Thank you. 2
I
separate
think
things.
somebody has
We'll
to point
argue about
out
that
that,
other thing another time.
Yeah, but Andrew Wood, you're changing the terms of this discussion as well. You're saying, well, we don't understand human nutrition, but we understand enough to do better.
We understand.
Absolutely, we do.
Look, now I'm gonna disagree with you there. To say that we understand human nutrition does not imply that we have to understand 101%. The point is, we know a lot, and we know plenty that we need to know in terms of making our good choices.
We
And of
know
course,
a
there's more to
lot.
learn.
We know a lot, and there's a lot that we don't know. So we don't really understand how it works as a system, as part of the world.
I want to come back, Mario, you said about the cost part. I did an experiment where I ate 1 meal of chia seeds, of 4 tablespoons of chia seed as my first meal, and 1 meal of fruits and vegetables in the evening. I also lost 60 pounds like Andrew, and I'm the pink of health now, understood nutrition, and I feel everybody should be doing that. And the whole country should be doing that. There'll be less problems, less strain on the medical system. And
Yeah, go on, finish up.
Yeah, and when I did the costing, the cost of chia seeds replacing 1 meal was less than what an Indian family who spend the money for having 3 meals a day, 1 meal could be substituting 2 meals, and it was just fine, and it was less. So it's very cost effective if you do it properly.
But here's a question that I have that none of you have talked about yet. And that is, how do we know what is added in the foods? Because a lot of people are saying that health and the way of the obesity breakout is happening these days is not because we're not eating and we don't know what we're eating, but there's a lot of additives that are getting into the food and even in the healthy food. How do you guys address that? How do we know what we're supposed to know if we don't know what they're adding in our foods to begin with?
Well, there are labeling laws, of course, and labeling laws in all major developed
And
countries.
as I've demonstrated, they change over time as new discoveries are made.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. The basic thing, but we understand this. The basic thing is that processed food is not healthy food. Factory food is
I agree
not
to that.
food. And so we know this. The fact that we don't act on it, well, that's another debate.
But how do you get to feed the masses if you're not going to have factory food, if you're not going to have processed food? Where are the resources to be able to get
Carrots, chia seeds, nuts, and fruit. Why not? Why not? We do need to cut down on the meat. We know that. So society is working its way toward that. Are
I
we
think to
there?
answer your question, Mario,
Change
if
our-
we all have whole foods where you process it yourself, don't buy processed food, you're winning because you know what you're eating, what you're putting in your mouth. Like whole grains, whole lentils, vegetables, these are nothing mixed. But when you buy a bag of chips or some other stuff, which is like a bar, chocolate bar, there's so much of stuff there which you don't know what it is. And it's a cumulative effect which causes your problems.
Well, gentlemen, the round is over for the round robin, and now we're going to be going into the concluding part of the arguments. And the first person that is going to be going is Andrew Wood, who is the second in the con side. Andrew, please take it
Well,
over.
thank you, Mario. And you know what? My opponents here on the pro side have made a number of points about the food choices that we make, and they're not always good. And there's no debate from us about that. Of course, we make bad decisions all the time, but the knowledge is there. We have plenty of knowledge, and it's not for me to argue that there aren't things that we still need to discover. But if you are interested in gaining your health through nutrition, and you find a contact with a qualified and knowledgeable practitioner to work with them, then that process will happen. And there's a number of healthy diets. There's not one healthy diet. So depending on your culture, depending on your background, you can find a healthy diet. We have all the information we need.
Thank you very much, Andrew. And now for the second on the pro side, Sarab Sandhu, you've got 1 minute.
Yes, Mr. Moderator and my opponents, if you know what you're supposed to do, I know it's a different topic, but then you don't really understand about nutrition. If you're not actually putting that, if they know about it and they're not putting it into action. So in the premises, you don't really understand human nutrition. If you know about it and you're not putting it into practice. And in the Vedic literature, they say the human being is designed to eat nuts, fruits, vegetables, and lentils, right? And these are the 4 things which are allowed. And I don't want to go into the thing, but it's because of our teeth and because of our alimentary system. Dogs can digest meat like this, but we can't. So we are not designed to eat meat. We're designed to eat nuts, fruits, grains, and vegetables. And that's what I say, that if we keep on following that, we can understand human nutrition and live long and healthy. The main reason for eating is to stay healthy. If you're eating food and becoming unhealthy, it's bad.
Thank you very much, Sarab. And now for the first on the con side, Al Brown. 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, the search for scientific knowledge is a never-ending story. It will last for as long as there are people on this earth. We'll always be looking for more information about the world around us and how our own bodies work. And sometimes we'll lose that knowledge and we'll have to go back and resolve it. But when it comes down to the basic things that we need to know, their knowledge is already there. In many cases, it is being denied to us. It's being taken away from us by the lack of nutritional, lack of information on nutrition by corporations that are trying to sell us processed foods. It is up to us, though, to take that knowledge back. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this process from here, go out and find the best nutrition you can find. There's lots of information on the internet.
Thank you very much, Al Brown. And the final word goes to the pro side, Andrew Oates.
Thank you, Mario. Lots of information on the internet. Yeah, some of it's actually true. If you want to live a long, long life, keep breathing as long as possible. If you want to have a healthy life, eat right. Absolutely true. Neither bit of advice addresses just how do you do that, because they don't address how the human body works with hormone systems and seasonal cycles. Mammals put on weight in the fall, they lose it in the spring. There's a tendency. Nobody's really completely explained that. Why do we say that adolescents eat a lot because they're growing, but all of a sudden that changes at some point in their lives to oh, they're growing fat because they eat a lot. Which is it? Is it the food causing the change in the morphology, or is it the morphology causing a change? Some people believe that it's the body putting on fat that causes you to eat more. What's wrong with the hormones that are making your body put on fat?
Thank you very much, Andrew Oates. And that concludes, ladies and gentlemen, the debate. And I hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations to the debaters. You really put on a very good argument, and it is extremely interesting because the perspective that you each took is very, very, very revealing from the fact that some of us believe that we do know what we're eating, what we're supposed to do. And the opposition is basically saying, well, maybe we don't know exactly, that there's so many other factors that can be involved in that. Both sides argued very well certain points about what to eat, how to eat, the quantities to eat. I mean, one of the sayings that we have in my ancestry as being Greek is everything in moderation. And I believe that that is a very, very good thing to follow in anything that we do. And as long as we're doing that, it promotes health. The question, though, that I have been considering here throughout this debate is who won? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may have your own thoughts about that, and we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts about who won. Please, just let us know in the comment section. But I have to be somebody that has to come up with a decision on who won. And from the perspective that I have and what I've heard from the argument, I think I'm keeping you all in suspense.
Are you
The
making up your
common
mind
side,
now?
in my opinion, has won the argument. The argument that they presented still there's a lot of questions that we do have, and there is a lot of things that we do understand, but I think they had the propensity of the evidence with them to argue effectively. So, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on the con side. I think you supported your arguments the strongest in this moderator or modulator's perspective. So we're looking forward to hearing the next debate. And by the way, next debate is going to be something that has been a social issue for quite a long time. We've heard a lot of the debates about this before, and we're going to hear the teams debating this one, which is professional athletes have a moral duty to engage in social justice issues. So that will be what's going to be resolved next week. So we're looking forward to having you with us, ladies and gentlemen. Again, congratulations to our speakers, and we'll see you all next week.
Okay.
Thank you, Socrates. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe so you do not miss another episode. Thank you.